Hello and welcome to Hibs Talk. I'm your host as always, Gav. Joining me today is Dave.
All right.
Craig.
Right.
And Stuart. Guys, how you getting on?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good. So for the people that are watching this live, this is also, we're doing our first live podcast, but if you're listening to the podcast as normal, thanks for listening as always. So we're recording this, but we'll also put out live. This is something we're going to try and, if it goes well, which it might not, we're going to try and do going forward. So let's see how, there'll probably loads of issues tonight, but we'll figure it out as we go. Dave, start with yourself. How are you getting on? How was your Sunday?
Chilled. Just sat and watched the football. Lost another 10 out of the bookies. Lost some games in COD. It's kind of standard Sunday.
I've been preparing for this. What was the score with the Chelsea Man City game?
3-1 to City.
Deserved one?
I pumped them, mate. First half.
Was it enjoyable football to watch?
Kind of half and half. I was building something as well for Argos. I'm making a shoe wall. We don't know why I get into that.
Aye.
I'm making a storage space for all my shoes, Ken.
Oh, you've got loads of shoes from Adidas. We know about that. Craig, how's your day been?
I had a Costco pizza earlier.
Nice.
I had a Costco pizza earlier. That's
highlight your day.
Highlight my day. One of the big 18-inch ones as well. Didn't have it all myself. Can't manage. Nah. I asked them to cut it into 4 slices because I couldn't manage 6.
Hey. That's a dad joke right there. Stuart, how was your Sunday been?
Yeah, pretty quiet, mate. Day 1 of lockdown. Unfortunately, my wife has tested positive for the dreaded Rona. So there's now a big red cross on my front door. I can't leave for 9 days. So when I was invited to do the pod chat tonight, I was absolutely delighted. So there you go.
I might be joining you. I'm actually waiting the results of a COVID test from this morning, but hopefully everything's okay. But I had to get it done this morning. It's not nice to get it done, the test, is it? It's horrible. What
was it you said in the chat? You couldn't manage it when you got to the back of your throat. You were gagging a wee bit.
Yeah, I was gagging when I got to the back of my throat. But yeah, obviously we're going to have a chat today about the Livingston game and the kind of fallout from that. There's been a lot of fallout on social media, so we're going to have a chat about the Livingston game and obviously chat about the transfer window with that opening tomorrow. I thought it was first, but apparently it's tomorrow opens. Off of that news from the Edinburgh Evening News that Cadden set to sign for Hibs, so we'll have a chat about that as well. I've got a quote from a Motherwell fan. That's how prepared I am. A bit about Dre Wright, because I know he's been off form recently, and then finishing up with start bench sell as always. But let's get started with the game and start with the lineup. A few changes, originally 4, but that changed to 3 when Rocky pulled up an injury in warm-up. Lewis Stevenson came in for Doig, Malin came in for Hallberg, and Gogic came in for Dre Wright. Craig, was Doig a bit unlucky to be dropped after last week?
I think so. He was kept at the firing line for a few weeks, obviously because his form was starting to dip, as you would expect for somebody so young. But then he came in against Rangers and we didn't want to bask in glorious failure, but Tavernier's been unbelievable for Rangers this season and he never got a sniff out of Doig, and then he gets hooked after 55 minutes against
Ross County,
60 minutes against Ross County, and he's benched yesterday. I thought it was really unfair. Really, really unfair, actually. There's a lot more there's a lot of others that could have came off and had a spot on the bench before him anyway, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was quite unfortunate not to get in. One of the things I said kind of on Friday when we kind of did our test for this and we kind of chatted about the Livy game, I said the fact that I was quite worried about the threat of Mullen, and when I seen the time lineup I put in the group chat to you guys, I worry about Mullen versus Louis, and unfortunately I was kind of proven right early on. Dave, I mean, didn't take Livy long get in front. Bartley won the ball. My God, I miss saying that. He knocks it forward. Robinson heads it out to the left. Mullen gets ahead of Louis quite easily, and instead of just running with it, smashes it past the keeper. What was your thoughts on the opening goal, Dave?
It was a good finish, to be fair, but it was far too easy. Like you say, just outran Stevenson, and I think Doig would have probably had a better chance, but It's all down to positioning, far too much space over that side of the park. And then could Barnes have done a bit better? I don't know. I'm not confident with Barnes at all, apart from that couple of saves at Ibrox, but it doesn't fill me with confidence. So, but it was far too easy. And the only thing is, 9 minutes on the clock, you're like, right, that's enough time to get back into it. Maybe a wee boot up the arse, you know what I mean?
I mean,
I think you've got to be a bit harsh being critical of Barnes for either the Ibrox performance. He had 3 great stops there, not at fault for anything during Ross County. And you know what? It was just a great finish. The first Livy goal right across him, but perfectly tucked into the near post. And really not where Lewis Stevenson wanted to be for appearance number 499.
yeah, I mean, Louis, Craig, was it a case of pace? Like we're kind of saying, or I don't know if you've heard the Hibs TV commentary saying about Lewis Stevenson just switching off. What would you put it down to?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, Stevenson's never really been the quickest, has he? In terms of his long distance, he can get up to a decent enough speed, but those sort of 5-10 yard bursts of acceleration that you need, he's never really seemed to have that. And I thought it was a wee bit of both, if I'm being honest. He's been caught out, and then he's not had the pace to get back and cover. And I think in relation to Barnes, it's how quickly did he find out before the game he was meant to be starting? I know players at all levels should be ready when called upon, but he's done his warm-up fully expecting to be sitting on the bench, and then all of a sudden he's thrust in. So maybe he, even though he's played the last 3 games, wasn't feeling as sharp as what he could have if he'd have known he was playing for the start.
Yeah,
before Marciano got injured, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's always a tough thing, especially in goalkeepers. You know, if you're a striker or a midfielder, even maybe not so much a defender, getting thrown in is always tough. But a goalkeeper, I think that's the most difficult one. But at the same time, he has been playing the last few games. It's not like he's been thrown in and hasn't played in a few weeks. So, yeah, I mean, he should have been ready to go. But Dave, the last thing you said a minute ago was about the fact that, you know, it's only 9 minutes in, still plenty of time to turn it around. But is Livingston one of the last teams you want to go 1-0 down to? They're hard enough to break down at the best of times, never mind with 1-0 up with a goal to sit on. And
aye, but if we think we're finishing third in the league ahead of Aberdeen, then we kind of have that mentality. Our team should be better, good enough. And Hibs are telling us they're good enough. I mean, you've got McGuinness saying that we're going to challenge for the league just a couple of weeks ago. I mean,
mind that. So when we were challenging for the league,
well, I would dare to go back a couple of weeks and be like, Kyle, shut up. Just shut up. But so if we believe that, then we should be able to come back against Livingston at home, mate.
We're also worried about Jack Ross going to Celtic.
We were, yes. That doesn't seem. I'm saying that, you know, Celtic might still need a new manager. But so I mean, we kind of hope that we'd turn it around, but things got a bit worse not that long after. Livingston have a corner. They play a short corner. Sort of Mullen plays it, and then the boy puts it back to Mullen, who stops it, whips it in. Barnes comes out and tries to punch it, which causes it to ricochet off Porteous's back, goes up in the air. Porteous and Gogic go for the same ball. It tumbles down, and it's Guthrie who smashes it in at the back post with no one around him. Stuart, your initial thoughts on the goal?
Absolutely at the point was regretting all the positive things I'd said previously about Barnes. Coming out and absolutely flapping at that one. Part of me wants to say there's a bit of bad luck in it. With ricochets, 2 players going for the same ball, but there's actually a screenshot of the Livy boy finishing it, and it looks like he's almost put it through 6 players. Nobody is anywhere near him, and yet he's still able to bury it, and we're 2-0 down within the first 14 minutes.
And one of the questions I've got, Dave, you can sort of answer this. Why, you know, I was watching it back, Newell and Mallon are out there to kind of right beside it. It's as close as they can be because they can see they're going to play the short corner. And then the boy passes it and then gets it back and still able to stop it and then whip it in. Why give up 2 men if he's only going to stop the cross?
The pressing needs to be better. But the same can be said, and I'm just going to skip back to the Ross County game for 2 seconds. But it was one of the Ross County goals that Newell could have been much closer and much tighter with one of their goals as well.
Aye.
Like I just seen him like kind of sauntering back really slow, and he's been getting a lot of plaudits, but he can't just be like, oh, Selkie in the ball, no, be contributing, especially when the midfield's soft as anything as it is. He needs to be a bit more in your face.
Yeah, I agree. It's there has been a bit softness in recent weeks, unfortunately. Craig, with the goal, do you kind of put it down a bit on a bad luck, like with the fact that the punch for the goalkeeper comes off the back, and then the fact that when Porteous and Gogic both go for the same ball, it comes off one of their shoulders, and just sort of the way it tumbles down perfectly for Guthrie. Is there a bit of bad luck, or is it just bad defending?
I think it's a bit of both. The keeper's, for me, isn't strong enough in coming for the punch. He seems to get crowded out far too easily, and then it's just a total stramash. One of them where it just seems to, like, that could have ricocheted off a million bodies and went in. But it's quite indicative of the situation that we find ourselves in just now. I think if we're in a good run of form, that doesn't happen. But it's systematic of the previous 2 games that's the kind of goal that we're going to concede. And like Stuart says, 2-0 down after 14 minutes. Like, you can only imagine what the reaction would have been like at Easter Road to that. I mean, I think I had a Kit Kat next to me, and I think I launched it at the door. And I was just a bit like, fuck, because
For Kit Kat.
it was, I know, I went and picked it up later and it was on bits and everything.
Oh, go on.
Still
Was that
ate it,
Kit Kat chunky?
though. Aye, I know.
Throwing
That's
that
a
at
bit cool.
the
Did he
door.
call him Chunky?
Yeah.
I put it off. But no, it's one of the ones that if you're in a good run of form, that doesn't happen. But if you're in a downward run of form, those kind of goals seem to go against you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Craig, you're absolutely right. That right now we're probably very lucky that there are no fans allowed at the games.
Especially those last 2.
Oh, absolutely. When you're looking at, probably jumping ahead here, a 5-0 aggregate score at home to Ross County and Livingston is absolutely disgraceful. I don't look at those teams and say, oh, well, we're outplayed. Well, we were outplayed, we're outclassed, but they've got nothing on that pitch that makes me think, oh yeah, we're in for a tough game here today. And yet both of them stepped up. They both looked hungrier than us. Hibs right now have got no emotion, no passion, no tempo to them. And this is where the real frustration for me is coming from.
Yeah.
Like we can all put down to break of the ball, an unlucky bounce, things like that. These things happen. That is football. We've benefited from it, and it's also going to cost you. But there's certain things you can control, and that's what we're not doing.
And I mean, one of the sort of first attacking points we can talk about from a Hibs point of view, Porteous kind of gets the ball from Malin, takes the ball forward a bit, and plays the ball towards Deutsch, who does sort of a nice fake, to be fair to him. It comes to Nisbet, who can kind of controls it, takes it into the box, and goes down. Did you guys think it was a penalty, yes or no?
Definitely a penalty.
Yeah, but it would have been soft in my opinion, but yeah.
So we've got yes from Stuart, a soft from Dave, and was that a no from Craig?
No, it was a yes from me. I thought
Yes.
Tam McManus was way off the mark when he was like, nah, that's not a penalty, it's just a coming together. But he gets clipped.
Yeah.
Because it's clear as day he gets clipped.
Maybe it isn't a penalty in Tam's day, but no,
maybe.
it is.
Let us know in the chats whether you thought it was a penalty or not. I mean, this one wasn't a Livingston goal, but I mean, we'll have to kind of talk about it. Hibs have a throw in their own half in line with the 18-yard line. McGinn throws it to a Livingston player, which is crazy. And then a poor touch from the Livy player means it comes to Sibbald. The pass is then kind of takes a deflection, comes back to McGinn, who then clears it, but the clearance comes off a Livy player and then goes across the box. Ricochets across the box, and the volley saved by the keeper, Barnes. I mean, again, we could say a bit bad luck, but Craig, that's just poor defending from McGinn, isn't it?
I would be more surprised if a throw-in that we took went to a Hibs player than an opposition player. Like, we are the worst. We must be the worst team in the world at throw-ins.
Yeah.
There is one throw-in in my life that I can remember being decent, and it was away at Dundee when I think it was Canberry, he who must not be named, threw it to Horgan, and then Horgan squared it to McNulty, I think.
Right.
That's the only time I can ever remember a throw-in coming off. We are absolutely honking, excuse me, at throw-ins.
Right. It's really poor, really sort of just basic errors that are just, I don't know if it just seems like a lack of concentration or just, it's so simple that it's our throw-in and it ends up in a Livingston corner.
But what's happened to him again over the last couple of weeks? Previously, we were all singing his praises. He was doing fantastically well, saying, really shrewd buy. Yep, might not be the most glamorous of players, but by God, he's doing a shift and they're absolutely loving him. And between him and Gogic the other day, I don't know who gave away the ball most. I don't know if they had a little bet going on. It was difficult to tell.
Aye, really sloppy. Not just the throw, but quite a few times from McGinn, unfortunately. And Dave, I mean, the third goal, I've kind of put detailed notes with them, but this one I just put long ball forward, Robinson versus Hanlon and Porteous. He takes the piss out of them and eventually slides it in.
Yeah, that could have had that kind of music on the
Benny Hill.
that could have had that at the top of it, absolutely. And then the funny thing about it at the time was Cliff Pike was like, and Hanlon's done well, and then he was like, no, waiting it. Put it in, and I'm laughing now, right? I was furious.
See when I seen it was Scott Robinson that done it, I genuinely wanted to chuck something at my telly.
But you done
another Kit Kat, something else from your selection box.
Jake, if it wasn't for COVID, I'd be giving you a cuddle. You seem like you need a cuddle just now.
Stop throwing things. I went straight on Call of Duty. I still had the laptop. You moaned at me, in fact. You were like, no, you're doing a podcast.
You did the
podcast. Like, no, I'm still going to watch it. I was like, but people need to die. So I went on Call of Duty. I didn't kill anybody. I'm not very good.
You're the one that died, so your day got even worse. I'm the same. I went on FIFA and I got leathered about 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I couldn't play FIFA. I just wanted nothing to do with football.
I know Billy put screenshots of the fact that he was playing Hibs on FIFA, and I didn't understand how anybody could do that. It's like the Hibs are the last thing I wanted to see at that point.
I'm not going to lie, and I ken Billy's watching. That was really, really, really pissing me off.
Really? I don't know. I've started supporting Billy's version of Hibs.
Billy was putting more Kit Kats in danger.
Aye, exactly.
But then the ball over the top, again, it was a header not dealt with by Porteous. He did the exact same bloody thing against Ross County and he got away with it, but this time we were punished. No, that one put down to poor defending. Porteous needs to screw the nut back on and stop believing his hype.
He's benched.
But for who though? There's no we can bench.
Exactly.
McGregor.
Yeah.
On the bench. McGregor and Gray.
Yep. It's their own fault.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why these clowns are getting away with it week in, week out, is because there's nobody pushing them.
No competition. Letting Adam Jackson go. Like what he's done. Absolutely head's gone.
I said it on Twitter. See all these young laddies that they keep interviewing before the game. Get them in. Like, see on Saturday, right? We're 3-0 down. Why not chuck Stephen Bradley on for half an hour?
Because he wasn't on the bench.
But I was.
Stephen Bradley wasn't on the bench.
Was he not?
No.
He wasn't on the bench.
Honestly, I had to double check it twice. He wasn't on the bench. Unless they changed it with the goalkeeper. But no, originally wasn't on the bench. Which I thought was crazy. I'll check that in a minute. But like I say, whilst you're checking that, I mean, we're talking about substitutes. Stuart, what was your...
Sorry, Gav, you're right. He wasn't even there. Jesus Christ.
Fucking host Hibs talk, mate. Of course I'm right. Stuart, whilst we're kind of talking about the subs, there was kind of one of the best, I'd say chances. It didn't even result in a shot on goal, which we'll come back to. But Murphy picked up the ball, kind of started driving towards, played it to Doig, who again, really direct, slipped through Gullen, who got to the byline and whipped across a ball. Nobody there, unfortunately. But is it at least a wee bit encouraging to see that the substitutes are coming on and trying to prove a point that they shouldn't be on the bench?
Yeah, it's something I've put down in my notes here, that seeing Doig and Gullen and Murphy coming on and actually looking to do something when you're 3-0 down was a positive thing. But it begs me to ask the question of the timing of the subs. Obviously, halftime team talk went completely out the window with a long ball forward and a very poor defensive to put them 3-0 up, and that was it. Game was over. Call of Duty, Kit Kats, everything in the meantime was all happening. But yeah, we should have been making bigger changes. I think Tam McManus made a brilliant point about put the young laddies on. It's good for them to come on, when you're 3-0 up in a game, get them a bit of confidence, get them their win bonus. But it's also good for them to face a bit of adversity as well.
Yeah.
Show them what it's like to need to dig in. Tam made that point brilliantly, and I thought Deutsch and Gullen, I'd love to know the psyche of a young player coming on thinking, right, we're 3-0 down here. Why am I being brought on? Or are they like, you know what? I'm going to stand up. I want the manager to be recognising me as an option. I should be getting on earlier. Or I should be starting.
I don't know what Gullen has to do to get a chance.
Aye.
Like he's no. Like the only positive bit of play we had on Saturday was when Gullen fizzed it across the box, and nobody was there as per usual. We've got 2 strikers on the park, 3 strikers at that point, I think. And nobody's in the 6-yard box.
I know what Gullen's got to do. He's got to steal.
He's got to leave.
No, he's got to steal the scuddies that Dre Wright's got to Jack Ross and keep them in his possession so that he gets a start.
I think it's nuts that the fact that Murphy's been injured for about 6 weeks and Gullen hasn't started a game in the league. That, to me, is ridiculous. Dre Wright and McGuinness have been given opportunities in the left midfield and not taken them. So a bit frustrating there. This is one of the ones that actually a question I had from earlier on and I forgot. I mean, it's obviously harder to tell on the TV. But what was the formation? What did you guys think the formation was? Because I mean, I put up on Twitter maybe a diamond because I know Boyle had played right centre mid last season, but it clearly wasn't that. Was it a flat 4-4-2 or was it the 4-3-3 with Nisbet out on the left? Or what did you guys?
I would have said it was a 4-3-3 with Nisbet and Boyle either side of Deutsch.
See, I thought that as well, but then I thought Boyle was kept dropping really quite deep on the right. So I was like, are we floating between the two?
Yeah, I would agree with Craig there.
We're floating. We're going between 3-5-2 and a 4-4-2 and a 4-3-3 and who knows what. Like we need to find a formation and stick to it. Being fluid in all these formations is good, but not when you're trying to do them all at once in the same game.
But that's what we were praising Jack Ross for earlier in the season, being able to change things, change formations. It was something that was highlighted right at the start of the season. This is what they've been practicing pre-season, so we can fluidly change our approach in a game. Have the players been given too much instruction?
Possibly. You think that's what they said about Hickey, wasn't it? It was too much. Like they were trying to fire too much information at them and not just like simplifying it a wee bit. Well, Scott Allen alluded to that the other week anyway.
I think it's one of the things that a lot of managers, when they come in, they kind of go back to basics and they don't overload with information and they have a good spell and then they get confident and they start putting lots of information in, and it's just maybe football needs to be simplified a bit more and let the players play. That's kind of that nobody gets that because it's a wrestling thing. Anyway, let's get back to the Hibs because I'm going off on wrestling. One shot on target in the 90 minutes, and I think it wasn't even a shot. It was a header from the 18-yard box, which, as Stuart Aitchison put it, the goalkeeper could have threw his hat on. Stuart, what's going on with the creating chances at the moment? I mean, I know Livingston set up well, but I mean, they were quiet against Ross County. Only 4 shots on target again at home to St Mirren, a game that we won, but no, never did we? I forgot.
Yeah, we beat St Mirren 1-0.
We did. We did 1-0, but even then, only 4 shots on target. So what's going on with the chance creation at the moment?
Well, you know what? Going into that Christmas period, we had the game against St Mirren, Dundee United, away to Rangers, home Ross County, and Livingston. We should have been looking at minimum 12 points from that one. We've walked away with 4. We, as I said earlier, 5-0 aggregate against Livy and Ross County. We're simply not hungry enough. Teams have either figured us out, but we've got no drive, no tempo, so we're not going to create things. Craig said it perfectly. We've got Boyle dropping far too deep back. Why are we not letting him kind of run at players? He doesn't do it anymore. That guy creates chances. He panics defenders. That's what was working pretty well for us at the start of the season with Deutsch and Nisbet getting chances.
Dave, has Boyle become too much of a team player and rather than a bit more selfish and a bit more freedom?
What do you mean? What's he been contributing for the team?
No, but has he been given more instructions? And I mean, for example, Ivan Sprilla, I don't think was given a lot of instructions. It was like, you're fast, get the ball and knock it past somebody. Have we maybe given Boyle too much instructions, too much, to track back and defend more, use his pace to get up and down the pitch? Should he maybe is it maybe as simple as giving Boyle more freedom?
Possibly, but I'd say putting him in the part of our front three is quite a lot of freedom for Boyle, considering he's not getting tied down to a wing back role, and he should be pretty free in there. But when he gets the ball, he hasn't been as direct as he is, and he seems to be stuttering. And I think he's a one-trick pony, and players have just know what he's going to do now.
Craig, is it as simple as? I mean, do I drop Boyle now? Or would that maybe give him a kick up the arse, or impact off the bench?
Drop him for who? Like and I genuinely kind of believe that we're sitting talking about Martin Boyle in this way just 6 months after we were all absolutely throbbing at the fact that he'd signed a new contract. Like, we were all worried he was going to leave because he'd been so good and blah blah blah. And now we're just a bit like I would be really nonplussed if somebody came in during the window and offered us a decent amount of money for us. Take it. Like, there is genuinely maybe a handful of players that I would like to see kept in this team. And this isn't a sort of like a reaction to what's happened recently. Like, I'm just bored now. Like, I was kind of on the day, I was against Dave a bit, because Dave was like, and actually, and yourself as well, Gav, because you were like, we're winning, but it's shite. Like, we're winning, but it's boring. And I was like, but I would rather win. Like, results first, performance later. Whereas now I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, can spending 400 odd quid on 2 season tickets, can't even go, so I'm having to sit and watch in the house, and this is what we're having to watch. Like, it's just not good enough. The team for me is boring. The personalities in the team are boring. There's nobody with a bit of, and the one that we do have with a bit of Patter Boyle just seems to be, all he wants to do is laugh and joke. For what you see for the very well with the output for Hibs on social media, which recently there has been zip. I'm just quite pissed off with Hibs at the moment, if I'm being honest, and everybody's in the firing line.
Yeah. Stuart, I mean, questions are starting to be asked. I mean, we'll come on to Jack Ross a bit more in just a minute. It's the next sort of topic. But I mean, is it one of the things with Jack Ross that practical is kind of a term that's kind of followed him a bit? I remember sort of speaking to a St Mirren fan, they're like, they're practical and effective, get the job done. Sunderland fan kind of said that, but then said at the same time, too many draws. Is it fine to be a bit boring but practical and effective? Maybe not creating loads of chances, but getting the wins if you're winning. But then that's one of the things that'll quickly change if those wins stop.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of dig in the team. There's not a lot of creativity. Have we been set up that way? Yes, it is. But I think it's also worth remembering we are only 13, 14 months into Jack Ross's tenure, minus a massive break for basically global pandemic. You might have heard of it. So he's far from had a normal 12 months to allow him to come in and put his own stamp on the team, start looking at, we've said a couple of times here tonight, yeah, we need to drop him, but how do we replace him? Who do we replace him with? That's something that probably Jack Ross is still having to work through and work around with Graham Maffei as well, to try and see who are we recruiting in, who do we start replacing? Yeah,
and I mean, there's a lot of reaction online towards Jack Ross. I mean, to me, I think Jack Ross, we should get used to him in a good way. I think he'll be here for a long time. But Dave, a lot of sort of people saying about Jack Ross and Jack Ross out and things like that. You know, the three-word review that came up a few times, which to me seems quite nuts. I mean, at the end of the day, we're in the Scottish Cup, League Cup semi-final. We got to the Scottish Cup semi-final under We've still got the Scottish Cup to come. We're fourth in the league. You know, Aberdeen, okay, they've got games in hand, but they're only 2 points behind us. Is it just is some of that just a snap reaction?
It is, but I think the social media reaction all comes down to you're not at the game, so you didn't vent your frustration straight away. So your first thing you do is you get your thumbs gone, but you're at the game, you've fucking gaffed your tits. you're shouting at the park. By the time you walk down and you get to the car, you get to the pub, you've camped down a bit. It's the same. See if we done this podcast straight after, like it'd just be the most negative podcast in the world.
Whereas now it's just the second most negative podcast.
I mean, I am quite a negative Hibs fan, but
is it you're a negative fan, or is it you've got high standards?
I've not even got high standards. My opinion is that I want to watch better football, and I said this to you earlier. It's like, would you rather be a Leeds fan or a Southampton fan? I'd rather watch Leeds every week.
You put that to me. I said Leeds. Craig, who would you rather support at the moment, just on the way they play?
I think it's a no-brainer. Like you'd support Leeds. Like you didn't care what's going to happen one day to the next, so you're entertained either way. And just going for the chat on Twitch, like good luck promoting season tickets with this quality of football. Like spot on. Like it's hard enough. Like we got season tickets this season because of a sense of if we didn't, the club are in big trouble. Whereas now, I think even that sense of loyalty for a lot of people is going to be like, and I know the club can't control when we actually get back in or no, but I'm telling you, my 50 quid a month right now could be better off spent on something else.
Yeah, I think we've done well picking up points early on in this season and put ourselves in a great position, but I don't know anyone that can watch the last couple of games and not have a bit of concern about it.
And I mean, that's the thing, we need to sort of kick on now, and one of the ways we can do that is maybe we'll have spoke about the squad being thin, so we are going to go into the transfer window, but first I'm going to kind of go through some of the questions here. I've got a few sort of lined up. Matt Reed asking, do we all love the 3-5-2? And I asking, are we relying too much on Scott Allen coming back to solve all our problems? Craig, your thoughts on that?
I don't think we're relying on him. I just think that because we're so boring to watch, we all think back to the days where he would pick up the ball and he would do a reverse, like the pass he done against Rangers for Horgan's goal. Like he can just bring that out of nothing. I don't think we're relying on it far too much, but I think me personally, I really miss it. I really miss him picking up the ball and just doing something out of nothing with it. Like someone said in the chat, is the Twitch as well. The team reflects Jack Ross, boring and no personality.
I think that's harsh on. I've met Jack. I think that's harsh on Jack. I like Jack.
I think there's an element of it though. Like you look at his interview. Another question was about Scott Allen. Sorry, but like his interview yesterday, and the interview on Tuesday. So we've just went 5-0 effectively against two teams that we should, on paper, be beaten, and all he talks about is how good the group's been, and he doesn't want the group to fall. No, I want my manager to be coming out and being a bit like, this is fucking unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like, you
but
don't
then did that work for Lennon? He came out and told everybody a new one.
Lennon's a Fruit Loop. Like, he just goes for them. Like, there's a difference between tearing them a new one, but also sort of insinuating to the fans that what's going on isn't acceptable. After we've just been gubbed 3-0, what we didn't want to hear is, the players have been quite good this season. I'm keen for the heads not to drop. Well, I'm sorry, but my heads dropped watching that. So I want to ken that their heads are dropping and what they're going to do to turn it round.
I want to know that they've had a rocket up their arse and that they felt that, see, if you play like that, you'll not play for Hibs.
The way Jack Ross spoke like that, saying they were getting that after the Ross County game, and they turned up for the Livingston game, so that's obviously not happened. We'll fire through some of the rest of them. Some of them are kind of transfer related, so we'll come back to them. We've got Mad Mental Hybie saying, just quickly, Dave, quick answer here. How false is our league position? We as fans deserve better than what's on offer this season. I mean, we've spoke about the performances, but would you agree with that? Is it a false position, or have we deserved our...
No, we're fourth. That's like the worst I would expect us to be. I've said this already, and we've got like a mini league table, so that's our second in the table for that fourth spot. So,
yeah. We've got Laidlaw. I think that might be Callum. Laidlaw Jock saying Craig can't manage 18 inches. That's not what I've heard. Which is Matt Reed saying again, was Gogic even playing? And then also saying hashtag pray for Kit Kat. So at least a few more questions there, but we'll come back to them sort of later on. So let's have a chat about the transfer window. First question is, what does the squad need? Like, and it's a vague question, but like,
Gutted.
what
Gutted
if
from
you,
top to bottom.
what one possession is the priority? If we need, if you, I mean, it's crazy. We'd be very frustrated if you could only sign one position this window. What would it be?
Manager. No, I'm only joking.
A midfielder that can dig in.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
midfielder.
I mean, can Gogic not dig in? You know.
Gogic
I mean,
is
I
good
give it
enough.
right back to Livy.
Nah,
I want an
Gogic-
exciting winger. I want somebody that'll get me off my couch like that in front of the telly, whether he's going to fall over, whipping a good ball, like just something different.
But is that no Murphy? Like Murphy could do that.
Nah, Murphy's not a winger though.
I think Murphy
Murphy's
genuinely does excite
putting
me.
my Football Manager hat on. He's more of an inside forward.
Right.
I would say I want a winger. Like I want an Ivan Sproul. You didn't care if he's going to score a hat trick or trip over his own feet.
Jordan
Just something.
Jones.
I'd take Jordan Jones.
So would I.
Right, I'd take Jordan Jones.
Still like a favourite Ibrox.
The way you're talking there, do we need? I mean, we're gonna just a quick answer because I want to stick to the transfer window. But do we need the players to have a bit more freedom to make mistakes? Do they seem like they're trying to be a bit too, not make a pass in the final third unless it's definitely going to come off, and then they play shit passes anyway? But Stuart, I mean,
But then, after that Livingston game, the Ross County game, we should have been desperate to make amends at the Ross County. It clearly didn't happen. It almost reminded me of, I hate to mention it, boys, but after the semi-final against Hearts, we had Aberdeen on the Friday, and you're thinking, right, here's a chance we can dig in, show it was a bit of a blip. What happened there? It was almost a carbon copy.
Can't even remember what happened.
It was 2-0. There were, again, two goals in the first kind of 12, 13 minutes, wasn't it?
Oh, I remember now. Why?
Yeah.
we're saying about what we need in this window, Dave. But I mean, could we have Scott Allen and McGuinness, Leo, once they're back to full fitness? Would that be like two new signings, and could they have a big impact on the midfield?
They could. I'll be honest, I never seen much of McGuinness before he came to Hibs. I've seen a bit of him when he has been playing, and I'm like, meh. Like
Stephen seems to be convinced he's a left winger, but I've not seen anything firm to indicate that he's a winger.
I still need to be convinced he's a football player. To be fair, he's not done much. He's not had much of a chance, but he's not done much. I don't think he's going to be the messiah though in the middle of the park. I still think we need what Stuart said.
To be fair, he was what
St
St Mirren's captain, so he can't be too bad. Like, can the last couple of boys that we've had for St Mirren have done no bad?
Yeah. He might come good, but I've just not seen enough of him, to be fair, to hang my hat on saying like him coming back in would do much. Scott
It's a
Allen.
name that's out there a lot right now. Alan Campbell from Motherwell.
Aye.
Ron, put your hand in your pocket. Let's get this boy secured. That is a massive signal of intent.
Aye.
Craig, do you feel Hibs need to do that this window, make a real statement signing? I know kind of McGuinness was meant to be one of them. We've sort of done that in the past with Nisbet and stuff, but do we really need to make another statement now?
Aye, somebody that puts puts the rest of the league on notice, but almost do to Campbell what Aberdeen done with McCrory. They clearly wanted him, so they went and got him. Like, if we want Campbell, let's go and get him. Let's not fart about, and because we'll see if he comes to Hibs, if hypothetically, right, when McGinn came to Hibs, there would have been a lot of umming and ahhing about, is he going to be worth it further down the line? See, with these players that are 21, 22, that have played over 100 league games, take the risk on them. Like, because what in theory are you going to lose out on?
Oh, he's proven.
Like, if he's out of contract in the summer, you go in, right, we'll give you 250 grand now. Whether that's Motherwell's valuation or no, I don't know. I'm just chucking a random figure out there, but it's 250 grand more than they'll get in the summer when he leaves for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's go out and actually if Ron Gordon's talking about we want to be the best of the rest, let's go and prove that we can be the best of the rest. Let's go and pay the money for these players that they deserve to be paid. No penny pinching and trying to negotiate sell-on clauses and like bonuses after a certain amount of achievements. If we want them, go and get them. Then, if there can be a deal made, fair enough, but then move on. Then he spend 4 weeks waiting to get somebody for it to then go, Sorry, guys, we really, really tried, but we can't get him. No,
Who's that?
I don't know. I'm just, I'm just trying to think of like a Gimpy. Oh, I'm so sorry, it couldn't be done. David Tanner, like kind of.
Jack Ross said we were at a crossroads in his interview after the game. But the whole club is, to be fair, we're at a point where we've got a new owner, and we're all buzzing about it. And that, fair enough, some good stuff's been done in that off the park. And that time to get some good stuff done on the park. I know we have spent money, but let's keep going, investing in it. Otherwise, it's just been a complete waste.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to the playing squad, then you have mentioned a central midfielder. Stuart, what else would you like to see brought in this window? Just sort of getting back to the players.
Probably not going to be very popular, but a replacement for Paul Hanlon. Paul, absolutely love you. I think you're absolutely fantastic, but a complete legend for the club. But a couple of times you've been found wanting recently. I don't know if it's your spatial awareness or you've not got the legs anymore. We need to get somebody else in there that's going to help continue to bring Porteous along.
I mean, Craig, what's on the defence? I've heard a lot of people say, we need a centre back, we need, potentially a right back. What's happened to the defence? We were praising the defence so much at the start of the season, 7 games without conceding a goal from open play. McGinn, Porteous and Hanlon were in the Scotland squad. Doig, who's playing left back, was in the Scotland under 19. So what's changed?
I don't know. I mean, I've been a very, very big fan of Ryan Porteous for a long, long time. But right now, is Porteous covering for Hanlon's deficiencies, or is Hanlon covering for Porteous's deficiencies? And then is Hanlon being made to look like the one who's playing poor, or is Porteous being? I don't know. I'm very conflicted. I think you know what I mean. That 2 months ago, all 3 of them were in the Scotland squad, and we were raving about them, about how good they've been. You didn't go for being that to no having legs and such, as Stuart's just said. But I don't know. I just think we need to. If we're going to be best of the rest, we need to start having the best of the rest. And is Paul Hanlon and Porteous really the best of the rest of the centre halves? I don't think so. I think Porteous, as good as he is believing in his own hype a wee bit. And I'm one of them. Like, my mates will tell you that I'm one of them who has been like, this guy will go to the top. This guy will make Hibs a lot of money.
I still believe that. Even though
I do as well. But I don't believe it as strongly as I did before. With regards to Paul Hanlon, there's a reason that nobody's really came in for him or Stevenson that strongly over the years. But then on the flip side, all these managers have continued to pick them and play them. Like Stuart said, 499 games for Stevenson.
Yeah.
Like, that's regardless, that is unbelievable. And I've just totally went off.
That's fine. No, it's fine at all. No, I understand what you're saying there about is it Porteous Hanlon? Is it just a partnership that's maybe not working? On other kind of, and which one's maybe more to blame? And I mean, the thing is, I'm maybe a bit more forgiving with Porteous because I know he's young, and I don't mind playing somebody that's only 20, 21. And if they're going to make mistakes, because I know at the end of the day we're Hibs, and we're going to have. If I'm having seen players do that, as long as it's not costing us every single week, I'm happy for players to, as long as they start to see the progression that they're learning from the mistakes, then I'm happy to see that. Hanlon, on the other hand, should be at the peak of his career. And should have these mistakes out, but if they continue happening, so yeah, I can understand why you're saying, Stuart, a centre back for Hanlon this window. A really interesting question here from Jess Plays 2, who says this is clashing with Raiders of the Lost Ark on Channel 4. So if you could raid one SPFL club for a player, who are you going for? Cracking question, well put. Dave, who are you raiding?
Alan Campbell, Motherwell.
Fair enough. Craig?
Lee Griffiths, Celtic.
Stuart?
Yeah, I've got to stick with Campbell.
Ooh. I'll go the obvious answer and go for Edward because could sell him for lots of money.
Or potentially to solidify the defence, could go for the world class goalkeeper at Rangers, Alan McGregor.
Do you think he would get away with as much stuff as us?
No.
I could imagine Steven Gerrard comes out with some nonsense. But anyway, so how many do you think we'll get? I mean, Matthew kind of got interviewed after the game on Hibs TV. Dave, how many are you expecting to see in this window? I know we initially went for a smaller squad, potentially due to COVID and things, but maybe Jack versus Brentford as well. I mean, what last week we've seen Stephen McGinn coming off the bench try to change a game. No, we need to bring in more, don't we?
Yeah, we need about 5, 6. It's not going
And
to
how many do you think we'll get?
2.
2. Stuart, how many do you see us getting in?
I can see us getting 3 in, but I think we're also going to see 1 or 2 leaving as well.
Anybody you can see going?
Obvious answer, okay, currently not in the squad, but Tom James. I can see him. Obviously, he's doing very well down at Wigan.
Play right
attracting
back.
a lot of. Sorry,
you can play right back, and
He
after
can play
McGinn's
right back,
performance yesterday, maybe give him a second chance.
I think didn't the club do something nice for him to kind of let him go back down south? Obviously, things haven't changed in that respect. So we might just be kind if the right offer comes back in for him.
Craig, how many do you see us getting in?
I think, obviously we've got what? Cadden's pretty much rumoured to... Cadden's pretty much confirmed to be signing for Aberdeen. So,
you know, I was going to make that joke.
Other than him, it would be, I think it'll be a 1 in, 1 out scenario. I wouldn't be surprised if we can't get him on a new contract before the window ends. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Newell left.
Wow, that would be a big loss. I mean, one of the sort of bright sparks this season, despite recent form. But
if he's not wanting to sign a new contract, like, I don't see a point in him being here. Like, if he wants to be elsewhere, then let him go elsewhere, in my opinion.
So you mentioned Cadden there. That's according to Edinburgh News, set to sign for Hibs. So as Craig stole my joke, that'll be him signing for Aberdeen. I'm going to say it anyway. But yeah, I mean, I always remember him coming through. Obviously, we're the number 7 jersey at Motherwell. Very much a right winger. Played 1 game for Scotland on the right wing, but also played games in the middle of the park. And apparently, during his time in Oxford, sort of transferred to a right back. So seems like quite a versatile player, Dave. Where do you see him potentially coming into the Hibs team?
Probably. I'd probably play him right wing back. Maybe use McGinn as one of the 3 centre halves if we're going to play 3-5-2. That's probably an option. And it gives you the option of resting Boyle / dropping Boyle because he's not been good enough. But it's versatile players. That's what we've been going for, Henry. So
yeah, pacey, good SPFL experience, fits the kind of mould of our current signing policy. Do I seem to remember Celtic sniffing about him at one point as well?
Yeah, they were very, especially when his contract was running down. Again, they were looking at him, but looking at him when he before that as well. A few times Celtic sniffed about him. And
I think it's good, again, it's just something positive we can say that we've identified somebody versatile, as you correctly said, that we're getting our business done a bit early as well. We're not going bargain basement last day of the window, however much we all have a transfer deadline day signing or 2. We want our guys in because we keep forgetting, was it about the 23rd, 24th of the month, we've got a semi-final.
Yeah, get them in.
Get these guys in, get them up to pace, get them in the squad, get them in the first team, and let's get ourselves back to Hampden.
I asked a Motherwell fan, I'll be honest, I'm quite surprised by his response because I thought he was held in quite high regard, but this is just sort of what Gogsy does a lot of live streaming, things like that. So a Motherwell fan. He's put, being honest, he was absolutely awful at us. He was good up until he got injured at Tynecastle, and then for the next 2 years wasn't as good as he had been. Wouldn't have him anywhere near the Scotland squad because I'd asked if you could see him getting back into the Scotland squad, because he says if he's a right back now, Scotland have Stephen O'Donnell, but of course he's biased towards Stephen O'Donnell, the fact that he's doing quite well at Motherwell at the moment. So, guys, what's could this be him coming back into Scotland, Stuart, to try and get himself in the Scotland frame again, especially with his new position at right back?
There's definitely a lot of young Scottish players out there that all of a sudden have had their ears pricked up with us qualifying for the Euros that will say, well, you know what, for once we've got a Scotland manager out there who is taking a chance on guys that play for Livy, Motherwell, Kilmarnock, instead of just going for also rans in the Rangers and Celtic squad or bench players in the Championship. So what's good about Stevie Clarke is making guys like Cadden think, you know what, if I can get regular football, do my job, then yeah, there's a real chance I can get into the squad. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, if that's his hope, then I'm glad that he's kind of coming to Hibs, because that's a player that's ambitious and wants to play for Scotland, get back in the Scotland squad. Obviously, Euros coming up, then great. Again, it's good that we're going after versatile players. So hopefully this one gets over the line. And I was going to make the Aberdeen joke again, but I'm still pissed off with Craig stealing it. Although in saying that, I was stealing it for Stephen. Let's be honest, Stephen put it in the group chat I was going to steal it for him. He just beat
See
me.
this whole, like, we're talking about, it's good that we're signing versatile players, right? Why is it good that we're signing players that are Jacks of all trades but masters of none? Like, I don't want us basically signing 4 or 5 Swiss Army knives that can. No, but they can fit in. Like, Cadden can play right back, right mid, centre mid.
Yeah.
You've got McGuinness who can play right mid, left mid, Boyle who can play right wing, up front, right mid. Like, I would rather have someone that is a master of one rather than can play 20% effectively in every position. They're trying to add that up to 100, but that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Scott Steiner math there.
But yeah, 63 and 2/3. But no, it's. I just think that we need to be having players that are excellent in that one position. Like McCrory is an excellent defensive midfielder, and that's the player that we should have signed in the summer. Like, that's who we needed, and we didn't get him. So,
That's what I talk about McCrory.
No.
Aye. So I mean, it's a be interesting one. We'll definitely have more chats about the transfer window as the weeks kind of go on, and hopefully some new signings to react to. If we do get Cadden in, I'm going to chase up Andy. Hopefully he's a bit more positive. He's another Motherwell fan. Hopefully he's a bit more positive about Cadden's time at Motherwell. So I mean, one player that we've kind of seen not do so well. We kind of got a few people's opinions on this on social media. Was Dre Wright? I mean, I made the point on social media that a lot of fans wrote off Joe Newell too quickly, and now we're desperate for him to sign a new contract. Dave, is it maybe too right to write off Wright?
No, I don't think he's going to be good enough, if I'm being honest. He came to Hibs where he didn't exactly have a great reputation with St Johnstone, but the St Johnstone fans quite liked him, said he was a tricky winger and that. But was it 1 goal or something for them? Or 1 assist?
One assist last season, but that was, a bit of an injury hit season.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I still think he did play quite a lot of games for them over the course of the season. But obviously coming to Hibs, you maybe think he's going to have more of a chance. He's playing a better team in that. But I'm not seeing the tricky winger. I'm not seeing him take on players, and he's very reserved. And then that makes me wonder, like, does Jack Ross maybe have them like on a leash? Like you're saying, because why are him and Boyle like that when they're blessed with the pace that they've got?
Yeah,
I've seen Gullen come on and do more than I've seen Dre Wright do, and look at the minutes they're compared to. Gullen come on and he's running at folk, he's direct. I'm like, brilliant. Like, why is this not here?
I mean, it's Stuart. No, go Stuart.
No, I was going to say, I do seem to remember St Johnstone fans being quite keen to hold on to him. The club had certainly offered him a new deal as well, but turned it down to come to us. I think there is a player in there. I don't want to write him off too quickly, but Dave, as you correctly said there, we've just not seen enough so far from it. I'm not writing him off, but the time he's been given chances, especially in the lower league games in the League Cup, he's not produced.
Craig, I know your answer to this, but is he now behind Gullen in terms of the pecking order?
For me, he'd be behind Bradley and whoever else is in the youth. I do not rate him at all. I don't see it whatsoever. He was our top transfer target in the summer. No thanks.
But I mean, like I say though, is Joe Newell an example not to write somebody off too soon?
Well, no, because Joe Newell was getting played in the completely wrong position. We're playing a tricky winger on the wing and he's doing nothing. So.
But again, another one that's maybe sort of more a right winger. We're playing him on the left. You said about sort of inside forwards and stuff. He's maybe no suited to that. I wonder, like say, Dave made a good point about the instructions from Jack Ross and if that's maybe having an effect. And I know he's been played in the number 10 position as well, which isn't his first choice. So, and he's played a striker as well. Another one of these versatile players that maybe a jack of all trades, not a master of one. So like I say, just a quick bit on Jay Wright. Hopefully, we are writing him off too soon, a lot for Hibs fans, and he can prove people right. Well, I say, we'll do start bench Celtic and then finish up with some of the questions from the chat and run through some of the comments. So the start bench Celtic, since we're playing Celtic next week, we'll do a podcast next week and get a Celtic preview up. But we're obviously playing Celtic next week, so we thought we'd do a bit of a Celtic edition. And what could have went through some of the obvious ones we kind of talked about, maybe doing Scott Brown, John Collins, things like that, but went for three slightly different ones. So went for Didier Agathe, Ulrich Larsson, and Chris Killen. Dave, what's your memories of Chris Killen as of his time at Hibs? I mean, it was a bit shorter than it maybe could have been, one due to an injury and two due to moving on to Celtic quite quickly. But what was your sort of memories of Chris Killen?
Decent goal scorer. Did he not score two then get sent off?
Against Rangers, yeah.
Aye, that's probably the
Scored in his debut at Ibrox.
yeah.
His debut was the 3-0 game in the cup.
Where all the players had like cut off their collars or tucked it in, one of the two. That was because I really liked the collars on the top, and I noticed that was bothering me.
Vardy
still
used to cut his off. He used to cut his collar off.
Aye, I hate a collar anyway. But so Ulrich Larsson, tremendous defender. Stuart, your memories of Ulrich Larsson?
Yeah, part of obviously the kind of Alex McLeish early noughties Hibs team. Just kind of, they all came along at the right time when you had a defence of him, Soze, Fenwick, Smith, fantastic there, but again, probably left us a bit too early. But then, like Agathe went on to be in that Celtic UEFA Cup final squad or team even for it. So can you deny the boy for it? Absolutely.
I think he's maybe one of those ones that we've seen him sort of settling in and seen a bit of his ability, but this Celtic definitely seen the best of him, Stuart, didn't they?
Yeah, very much so.
Right. And one that was quite similar to that was Didier Agathe, signed as a striker for us from Wraith Rovers and sort of kind of moved to the right wing, and then Celtic eventually moved him to a pacey right wing back because they could do that full back. But a really sort of fast, direct player, Agathe, wasn't he, Craig?
Yeah, I also missed a sit in his debut against Hearts with Tynecastle.
I was thinking about that.
No, it was at the Dundee game, but it's like he got the ball on the edge of our box and just took on about. It could have been 12 men he took on. Like he just seemed to take everybody on, and then scored. I actually remember the game where Martin O'Neill came to watch him. I think it was that game because this was. The old main stand was still up, and where I sat in the famous 5 stand, you could see into the car park.
Right.
And after about half an hour, Martin O'Neill, who was his assistant, was that John Robertson, and someone else left and got into the car and drove away, and then 3 days later he'd signed for them.
They'd seen enough in that 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
He's when you look at the last sort of 20 years and think who got away, like he's one of the ones that got away for me.
Yeah, as we were saying earlier, a player that you would just get up off your seats.
That's what I mean. Like that's the kind of player that we need. Somebody as erratic as Didier Agathe, who's a striker for Hibs and then a right wing back for Celtic.
All about that versatility.
I don't like versatility.
I remember I must have been about 10 at the time when I seen him, and I remember just being like, "Oh my god, Dad, how fast is he?" Like he was just like one of the first players I thought was so fast. I seen a bit of Mickey Weir, but he was sort of getting towards the end and didn't have his pace that he used to have. But my god, what speed! And then again when he came back to Easter Road as a Celtic player, just watching him bomb down that touchline so fast. So like I say, let us know in the comments who you start benching, sell out of these three. Dave, start from yourself. Who you starting and who you benching and who you selling?
I'm starting Agathe. I'm benching Lawson and I'm selling Killen.
Craig?
I'm going to start Lawson. He was one of my favourites of that team. Benching Agat and selling Killen because of how he left us.
And I'm doing completely different. I'm going to start Killen, bench Agat, and just because of lack of options left, selling Lurson.
Very surprised at that. I'm something like Craig with start Lurson, bench Agat, so take his pace off the bench, and then unfortunately just because he's the last one left. Although I did like Chris Killen, sell Chris Killen, too injury prone, so that's the reason for selling them. Sorry, Chris. So let's have a look through some of the questions here. I have to say, this is one that's been the most difficult thing about going live is sort of managing the live chat, especially because Streamlabs has been a bit funny with it and saying chat paused due to scroll. I don't know how to unpause it. Yeah.
Can you just read that last comment on the stream now?
Agree with Dave.
Yep. Thank you.
Did we miss the one that said, well said, Craig?
Yeah, we missed that, mate. Go on, just know about you.
So we've got Hybees09 asking, Mrs. McGinn, got any more kids?
We need them.
Asking, do you think we'll actually see Scott Allen back this season? Obviously, a bit of an unknown, but Craig, if he's back in training, we'll have to get our hopes up that it's going to be soon.
I think he'll be back for the semi-final.
Would love that. Imagine him pinging the ball about a big Hampden for Boiler Run, won't he?
Imagine him just pinging the ball and Doige getting it at his feet and kicking it back to him.
And speaking about the semi-final playing at Hampden, with his Mad Mental Hybe put, we just got beat at Hampden from a championship team, not very confident ahead of the semi-final. Like say somebody said it, like I know you read that one out about Jack Ross's personality. Owen Wright had sort of said, good luck promoting season tickets with this quality football. I mean, sure, like I say, we've spoke about quite a bit. The football's just not been there this season.
It's really not, and I think Owen's absolutely correct there. Season ticket promotions normally starts about March kind of time, March, April. They're probably going to have to get a bit of a jump on that this year to try and promote it and push it more. So things have to change.
They'll struggle to sell next season strips at this rate.
Don't even know who's making them.
I didn't want Macron again. I'm done.
Joma, yeah. Give us Joma.
No, don't give us Joma.
Give us a second-rate manufacturer our second-rate club deserves.
King of the North, aka Billy, said Bradley has shown more in a few games than Wright has in a handful of games. I have to agree with him there. Been very impressed with Bradley, and again, frustrating that he's not like. Why not just throwing a 17-year-old in? I come back to if we're throwing on Stephen McGinn to try and change a game, why not throwing an exciting 17-year-old laddie with no pressure on him? I don't get that at all. Porteous looked his best a few seasons ago next to Effie before he left. Stuart, I mean, like we spoke about the Hanlon partnership. Is it fair to say we have seen the best of him? He's not had, like, obviously started the season well, but Porteous's form's kind of gone off the cliff a bit recently.
I think Porteous has always been prone to peaks and troughs, even in his short career. But we have to remember, Larry's only 21, isn't he? We've just been kind of spoilt because we've seen him in a first-team starter role since the age of about 18. He does need to cut these out. I think having someone like Effie Ambrose next to him was fantastic, but we also have a bit of a rosy-tinted view of Effie Ambrose. Sometimes, yes, he was very much pipe and slippers, and other times you'd be pulling your hair out at Effie, wondering what the hell he was up to.
I saw like the contrast. There was games like, say, pipe and slippers, but the Aberdeen game up at Pittodrie 4-0 was one of the games. It's like, why? How were you once set to go to somebody for like 3 million?
He's an entertainer.
That deal fell through.
He's an entertainer. I want to be entertained when I watch a game of football.
And a couple of people, I mean, people are talking about it, so we have to I'll kind of get your guys' opinion on it. People asking about David Tanner. What do we have to get shot at David Tanner? Tanner is an embarrassment, laughing and sucking up to Yogi after the Ross County game. I mean, the thing that got to me, I kind of said this at the start of the stream, was it cut back to him at half time, and you seen Matthew. You know, Matthew was really pissed off. Gary O'Connor looked really pissed off, and I mean, I know it's his job, he's a presenter, but he comes back and big smiles, and Hibs are 2-0 down. Dave, I mean, is it fair to say we've kind of got somebody in who's a presenter in general, but it's maybe not working? Hibs fans aren't taking to him pretty much.
Aye, but this is me talking. Right? I can see why Hibs fans are getting annoyed at it, right? But why do we care? Like, why with that? With that,
Because we're spending
Because we're paying them.
£350 a year,
Aye,
and
but
this is like this.
with that-
We're paying his way.
That's a really good response.
yeah, but with that, like insecure that we need a Hibs fan to be hosting.
Yes. Bring in Gav. Bring in Grant Stott. Somebody.
And I'm struggling with this as it is. Never mind interviewing Latipi. I think Craig.
I didn't get me wrong. I would rather not have David Tanner. I don't think he is very good at all, and I can see what everybody's talking about. I just thought I would try and jump in his corner there for a wee second, but I don't like what's coming towards his corner, so I'm going to jump back out.
I think what we have to look at is Tanner is filling the role of kind of anchorman presenter that you will see on BT, Sky, things like that. But what we're used to,
on Sky.
yeah, but what we're used to seeing on other fans' TV is complete and utter bias. And we accept that. If I have to watch Red TV for the Aberdeen feed or Rangers TV for that game, I'm not expecting them to be too full of praise for Hibs or whoever the opponents are. But yeah, it was always something that Cliff used to say. And we welcome the viewers or listeners from St Mirren. Please remember that we are Hibs fans, but we will try to be as unbiased as possible. That's the kind of as much of a write-off as you need to give it.
I mean,
I disagree wholeheartedly with that. Like, I've watched Rangers TV coverage this season and watched Aberdeen's TV coverage. That Emma Dodds does Rangers TV, and Rob McLean does Aberdeen TV, and they are biased towards the club. But what they don't do is they don't sit and suck arse to the guy who's managing the team that is currently beating us because he was in the studio a couple of weeks ago. Like, that for me is not on. Like, I just don't get it. I don't see how people who are behind Hibs TV are watching that thinking that him being on there is a good idea. He pauses all the time. He stumbles all the time. He laughs at inappropriate moments. He can't lead a conversation. He's got this hard on about saying, "Oh, welcome to Easter Road, home of the Capital's only Premiership club this season." Like,
it's funny the first week.
It was funny the first time you said it on the first broadcast. We're now in fucking middle, like we're now at the start of January, 10 home games deep, and you're still coming out with the same patter. I just think it's terrible. And the fact that we're paying for it makes it even worse.
Fair enough. Like I say, people have been talking about, so we're kind of getting people's opinion on it. I mean, to be fair, the guy's getting paid to do a job, and he's doing it his style. I don't blame David Tanner. That's his style. I'd maybe say why we see the one that Hibs went for. I think. But anyway, like I say, I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, at least Hibs are going for somebody a bit, well, it's a big name, and at least the money's going towards something. But anyway, but I have to say the rest of the production of the match, I think, has been fantastic. I've been really impressed with that on game days. Maybe just me, but really impressed with that. Apart from some of the audio shows, Craig and Stuart swapped about there. I don't know why.
Sorry, I just man on it.
Couple of questions on Jack Ross here. Hybees09 saying, are we confident Jack Ross is the man to get us the best of the rest? Only going to get more difficult when Hearts get promoted. Not looking forward to third this season after a few more signings. I mean, and like I say, Billy said, if Ross isn't the man, who is? To me, Jack Ross is still the man. I still believe another transfer window, he'll turn around. I think, like Derek McInnes, I've said this plenty of times, like Derek McInnes, I think he'll be there for a long time. Stuart, what's your kind of thoughts? Jack Ross, is he the one that's going to long-term get us third established?
Yeah, I agree with you, Gavin. I think the McInnes comparison is fair. Hopefully we don't totally emulate the style of football that Aberdeen have gone through, but we have to remember how long McInnes has been at Aberdeen, and he didn't do it overnight.
Exactly.
For it. This kind of chopping and changing managers, okay, Heckingbottom wasn't the right appointment, but I think Ross is going to be someone that's going to be here for a while, and he will kind of bring us some good stability, and the style and performance will come.
Craig, your thoughts?
I want to see a bit more from him. I want to see a bit more fire in the belly, so to speak, rather than this sort of blasé, keeping it a bit beige. I'm in the like, I don't necessarily want him to go, but I wouldn't be upset if he did. Kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Dave, is Jack Ross still the one? Is he going to make Hibs whole again?
God.
I personally don't want him to go, but at the same time, I'm the same as Craig. See, if he went next week, I wouldn't have been bothered because I'd be like, oh, we might actually get some decent football again. We hate games where we're all right, but it needs to be the norm. The anomalies are the good games, which I don't want.
I mean, yeah. To me, worst thing is the football needs to improve. But I mean, at the end of the day, we are fourth. We have to remember this: we're fourth in the table for a reason.
Yeah, it's a poor league.
Doesn't matter. We're fourth.
Yeah.
Where we are for where our budget is, like we've got the fourth biggest budget in the league,
Yeah.
so we are by rights fourth.
Yeah.
And I think we're building a squad. Aberdeen, like Stuart said, McInnes has had like 8 years at this.
But look how boring they are. They are the epitome of boring.
That's our model.
Is it? Is that our model? Is that we're going to, or when we add more players, when we get when we get Scott Allen back, and we get Derek McInnes up and running. Derek McInnes, I'm having a mare. We've been on for too long. Kyle McGuinness up and running. Are we going to be? Could we start to see that attacking football?
Who knows? We need to wait and see, innit?
I think if we look at some of the players that we're going to be getting back, it's almost going to be like a fantastic transfer window.
Yeah.
Scott Allen, McGuinness, Murphy, getting these three boys back in, they are almost like a new signing.
No, 100%.
We have suffered a lot. To be fair, recently we have been hit with injuries and we suspensions and that here and there.
So folk are saying that now on the chat that he's not doing good enough results against the Old Firm or Aberdeen, Hearts, and that. And it's completely true.
Derby record, yeah.
It's the big games. The big games record is very, very concerning for me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect being fourth and losing all of the games, but meaning we're scudding everyone else. Like, because then you're just basically admitting that you're the bitch of the league for the bigger teams, and we need to really capitalise on the fact that Hearts are in the league. We need to get a head start on them for next season.
I mean, I think, to me, Jack Ross, like I say, the song mentioned again, Jack Ross is still the one, but I think he needs to beat bigger teams and hopefully a few more signings lead to better football, because the football needs to improve as well, because the bad, like I said, it made the point earlier on, the boring football's fine if you're winning, but when you're not winning, you see how quickly folk will turn. So yeah. So like I say, we'll finish up there. Thank you for everyone who's sort of joined us live and got some questions in. If this has gone well, we'll start to do this going forward. It seems to have worked. Like I say, we done a test on Friday and had audio issues, but this is, like I say, I might need help monitoring the chat a bit more, but other than that, because it's been a bit busier than I expected. But thank you everyone for joining us live. It really does mean a lot. Like I say, though, if you've missed some of the show, the podcast will be up full wherever you get your podcast from. There's a wee graphic I made up there with all the places you can get. I put Castbox in just for Dave because I know how much he loves Castbox, and that's where he gets his podcasts. So what you guys got planned much for this night? I know, Stuart, you mentioned earlier before we started recording you're back to work tomorrow, even though obviously working from home with COVID and stuff. Yeah,
back to work. Thankfully, I can just work from home. And other than that, just kind of counting down in my prison cell, little kind of tally marks on the wall till I can get out of the house again.
No, actually got a red cross on your door, have you?
No. No, that is more of it's a fun plague joke for us all to enjoy.
That was me think I kind of went, that's a good joke. Wait, has it actually done that? Is that something I need to do if my test result comes back positive? Have I got red tape? All these things started going through my head. Craig, your plans for the rest of the night?
Finish off weekend league on FIFA.
Nice.
And jump on for a wee dub at some point.
Absolutely nothing. Probably bit of Call of Duty, sit and watch telly. I'm off work for ages, living the furlough life, so yeah. I can feel it as well. I'm starting to. I lost a wee bit of weight, and I can feel me. All I've been doing is sitting about the house. I've even been eating loads, but I burn about 10 calories a day.
I was checking. We went doing Cramond yesterday. With the boys with their electric scooters and done like a step count So yesterday, like we were just checking it when we got back, and it was like, oh, I've done about 5,500 a day. I think it was Tuesday last week. I think it was 207.
How far away is your fridge from your sofa?
That far. I'm genuinely, I can only compare it to 2 years ago, but at this point, 2 years ago, I am now 4 stone heavier
Ken, what you should start doing?
than what I was.
Getting angry and then throwing away your food more. And then walking up, going over to pick it up and walking back. That'll get you a few more steps, mate.
I don't think you're the only one that has put on weight. I kind of lost a bit of weight at the start of the year, and I've put a lot of it back on just like because of lockdown and stuff. The new job's helped, but I'm out on my feet a lot more. But aye,
I've got a
we
subscription
got
to
jeans.
Giacomo.
You're in the house all day now. Yeah, surely you're wearing shorts all the
No,
time.
but-
When I was working from home, I wore shorts for about 4 months straight.
Oh no, I'm. You're lucky if I even put shorts on.
Just you keep that camera faced up the way, mate. This is not that type of stream.
And next on Hibs Talk After Dark.
That's for our subscribers. If somebody subscribes, you get beyond the paywall.
Do we get a Hibs only fans going? Yeah, that's what the people want.
Yeah. Well, we're a growing brand, aren't we? So maybe next year.
Not the only thing that'll be growing.
Right, sack it.
Right. Enjoy the rest of your nights, folks. Cheers for that, guys. And like I say, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll hopefully be back next Sunday to do this again if it's going well. I might move it to Saturday because if Hibs are playing on the Monday, we'll have a chat about it and we'll let you know. Keep an eye on the socials at HFC Talk to find out when we're going live. And like I say, if you missed any of this, like I said earlier, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to find them. Like I say, we've been Hibs Talk. Thanks for joining us and helping make the live. Thanks for everyone that's listening afterwards. And I'm going to shut up now because I've been talking too long.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.